Buddy, thanks for joining us. Lynn Westover, your VETPAW Director of Operations here. I got Ryan waiting in the wings here. I'm just making sure that we're going both here on YouTube and Facebook. Showing that we're going. Sometimes it takes a little bit for it to catch up. But yep, there we go. All right, awesome, sweet. So, like I was saying, Lynn Westover here. This is our first Ops Call podcast. We're going to try to start out by doing at least one of these a month. Typically on Wednesdays, we do our operations call with the teams on the ground, check in with the team leaders and operations managers out there, and they give us feedback on what's going on, and so we can address any issues, but also work on projects. We have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And despite everything that's gone on with our difficulties through 2020, as everybody's experienced, those guys stayed on the ground and they were pretty adamant about doing what they do. So appreciate everybody here coming to check us out. If this is something that you like and enjoy and you'd like to see more of, make sure you do us a favor and like and subscribe. Hit that little bell notification so that you can get alerts when we do more of these. But yeah, I think we're going to try to continue doing these. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull Ryan in here. So, hey, Ryan, you're on, bro.
Hey, what's up, Lynn? Hey, everybody.
Thanks for taking Ryan's I don't think I could even begin to express to everybody how much of a busy guy that Ryan is. So to be able to take these opportunities, and we've been working for the last year on having this capability, and with the technology that's come out now, it's I know this has been an important initiative for you as far as wanting to communicate with everybody and kind of give them a better look at what we do and how we do it. So in fact, maybe we could start there, Ryan, just kind of talk about like why this is important to you and what the significance of the operations call is.
Yeah. And, with COVID going on, a glass half full, positive perspective of COVID, throughout all the craziness and sadness of it is that, we've been able to adapt to society. And this is one of the ways, and finding new ways to reach our supporters and new people, bringing them in to, spread awareness about our mission and what we have going on. I mean, things like this are very important. All of you that support us, you should know about everything that's going on the ground. It's been a little tough because the guys on the ground, the veterans on the ground, have been so busy. They're always out in the bush. They're always working, always with the animals. And so this is a nice way that we can bring them in on future, ops calls so that you can get to talk with them, board members, things like that. And, when they're not available, Lynn and I will step up and inform you. But the current situation with VETPAW is we've got some amazing, badass veterans in Africa that selflessly, refused to come home at the beginning of COVID because the wildlife has really become their lives. And it's been a healing thing for many veterans that have come through VETPAW. And I just think that's a testament to the character of not just our veterans, but veterans as a whole, and that they put the well-being of the animals before that of them of themselves. And I also want to give thanks to their families. And these aren't all single bachelors or bachelorettes in Africa. These are people that have families and parents, and life goes on in the United States even though they're in Africa, but still they stayed, and their families, they wouldn't be able to do it without the support of their families. And so I can't thank their families enough.
Well, I think that's I would like to kind of dovetail into that, because I don't think, or I think that people would probably be really interested in knowing like what are some of the things that we have to navigate, because there's just so much more to it than like the tactical or educational side of it. There's also administrative things that we have to cover down on, things like visas and so on and so forth. And given the fact that that was a big thing, you and I had that conversation when everything started kind of locking down, and we had to have that conversation with the team where we say, hey guys, we're kind of at a point here, we got to make a decision. But they knew that if they left, which they could totally have done, but we may not have been able to get anybody out there to replace them, to swap out with them. So that was the first thing. And the second thing is what effect that would have had on the reserves themselves in the neighboring communities. And so we were able to transition to not only doing monitoring and aiding with some of that advisement for the rangers and the stakeholders who are on the ground doing the real hard work. But also engaging with the community. We were able to do grocery runs and things like that for people. And right now we're actually in the middle of going through the process of renewing visas and things like that. And again, everything's changed in how we do things. So I think last week, you and I were doing probably we had to do about 5 or 6 several different letters and request letters and forms and paperwork. And so there is a bureaucratic, rightfully so, there is a bureaucratic method to it. But I think it goes without saying that, we are thankful for specifically the country of South Africa and all their help in helping us navigate and things like that. I think I'm going to do just a few quick shout outs, Ryan. We got a few people in the chat here. So I'll start out with my boy, Jeff. He's saying this is the best way to spend his lunch. I actually know Jeff. He's a line worker. He does some of that high tension power line stuff, and he's a very big giver to things that he believes in. So it's very dangerous work that he does. But thank you, Jeff, for your support.
With all due respect, Jeff, as well, and I mean this in the best way, you got to have a screw loose to do that job. You up at that? Nope.
I'll have to introduce you to Jeff sometime, so you'll be like, okay, I get it, I got it. And then old Mr. Kyle Hansen here, 2 Foot Onion. He's up and watching. So that's with I believe with Recycle for Vets.
Yeah, that's Recycle. So it's a partnered program, partnered organization of VETPAW. Really cool organization. Check them out. They do beach cleanups and other cleanups throughout the United States, and they're helping to improve the sustainability programs with corporations worldwide. And it's a really cool program. We're going to be doing a cleanup down in the Tampa Bay area soon. So we try to get as many of our veterans and our team members that aren't in Africa out to support those events in their local communities. So check them out.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Key Street, for the support. We're happy to be here. Tony Sinclair, thank you. We'll relay that to the team. I'm sure. Looking at the time right now, 1 or 2 of them may be watching. They're usually in the thick of it right now. Terry Wood, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for the support.
Thanks, Terry.
And Dave Rami here. You guys are awesome. My birthday VETPAW fundraiser ends tomorrow, and I hope it helps you guys, even if only a little. Told everyone how selfless you are with your sacrifices to our beautiful horny creatures.
David, I got chills when I read that. The fact that you dedicated your birthday to raising funds in support of the veterans on the ground means the world to us, and that's a very selfless thing. And I appreciate it. I owe you one.
Yeah, I think again, going back to what you were talking about, we've been talking about this for a while, and having these kinds of opportunities and giving people a better feel for who we are and where we're really coming from. I mean, you would think on the outside that it's a no-brainer. You're like, wow, so animals and veterans, but there's actually a lot to it. And so it's kind of funny how, you just never know what's gonna bring you into this. If you had asked me back in, let's see here, it was 2013 that I was doing counter piracy and executive protection work among some other things that I was doing for DoD, and then I believe it's 2014, maybe 2015. I'm trying to remember when you and I first met, because
it would have been.
I would have never thought
2015. Yeah.
It was August of 2015. All I remember And I think this is funny because I've heard your story so many times, Ryan, as far as like how you started VETPAW, and it was really neat for me to kind of get exposure to that because a very good friend of mine, I'll leave him nameless on here because he's still doing other work, but you know who I'm talking about, the major. But he was like, "Hey, Lynn, you gotta come check these guys out. They're doing really awesome stuff in Africa." And I've been talking with the president. It's a nonprofit organization. They're all vets. He's a Marine, and you're gonna like them. So, I agreed we'll do some training for them, like a la carte. And I'm like, cool. Like I didn't care. I was totally happy to do it, and I know what it's like to try to stand something up and go out there. So my first experience with VETPAW is I let him, this individual we're talking about, and this is the other reason I'm leaving him nameless because it's kind of making fun of him a little bit. I let him borrow my trailer to put because we were going to do some range training as well as some other training, some tracking and some human behavior training. And so I let him take the trailer up in his truck because he had a bigger truck. He's like, yeah, I'll get everything set up and you can meet me there while you're grabbing other stuff. I'm like, cool. And the scene I come into,
same scene I came into,
is like I see about 10 veterans. It is smacked of a government operation because I see about 10 veterans all standing around looking at this trailer that's jackknifed in between basically a cattle gate and 8 guys trying to tell one guy how to back up with a trailer attached. So that was kind of like the initial.
So here's the real story. So Lynn shows up to that, and I had got there, and all I hear is, "We got to get this done before Sherpa gets here," and that's Lynn's nickname. We got to get this fixed before he gets here because they knew what Lynn's response would be. And so sure enough, Lynn shows up and I'm already like, who's this Sherpa that everybody's putting on a pedestal? Like, so I'm already like, who the heck is this guy? So he shows up, pops out of his Jeep, all gung-ho, and he's like, well, we got ourselves a situation here, boys. And boom, boom, gets it out like no problem. And then so as soon as I saw him, I realized, hey, I know this guy from somewhere. I've seen him. I can't figure it out. And it's starting to irritate me throughout the day. And so later that night, after we're done on the range, we're sitting around the fire, and it dawned on me. And I said to him, when did you go to Scout Sniper School? And when it was 2005 or 6.
Winter of 2005.
Yeah,
I just got back from Afghanistan.
So it dawns on me where I had met or had seen him, and we hadn't actually officially met. And so I was in Stone Bay, which is a training range base for Camp Lejeune Marines. And I was there doing some coaching, and I was in the chow hall, and all of a sudden it's pouring down rain outside. It's 28 degrees, so it should have been snowing. And here comes this guy in old school camouflage, drenched, soaking wet, and he's running in place. And that's what Scout Snipers do when they're going through training, is when they tell you go get chow, you still got to keep running. And so there's all these Marines in front of him, and I was like, make a hole for this guy, let him go first. And sure enough, he goes through the line, and he eats his food. But I remembered his face from that, and that was him. And we sat there at the fire, and he's like, no way, I do remember when that happened. He was like, I was miserable, and I didn't think these Marines were going to move out of the way to let me get my chow first. And kid you not, that is a real story. And so then I switched from being irritated with Lynn to being like, dude, this is amazing. This has to be fate. So anyways.
Well, you don't have to keep it PG for everybody. I still irritate you. I don't know who I irritate more. I don't know if I irritate you more or my wife. I think it's a tie there, but no, it was definitely life-changing for me, just because, if you remember at the time, I told you, just being honest, because I was working on a bunch of other different things. And I personally really love VETPAW's mission, just on the outside looking in. And the other thing was, I never thought that I would ever be involved with something like that, to be totally honest with everybody. And I never even I mean, I've been to Africa a couple times. I've been all over the world, but I'd never really had that experience. As a matter of fact, Ryan was responsible for my first experience in seeing rhinos and elephants and other animal species up close and personal. And I never would have thought that I would have had that opportunity. It just seemed like it was a bridge too far away. And so that was pretty cool. Also, ironically, I do owe my happiness to my wife, to Ryan, because if it wasn't for him and if it wasn't for having this opportunity, because my wife happened to be there covering VETPAW on a story. That's when her and I first met. And I almost screwed it up too, because I was terrified because she's pretty awesome. And I was like, what is she doing? What would she want to do with a guy like me? And
I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, Ryan's like, yo, you need to jump on that. Don't. Yeah. So hold on. Now that I said that,
yeah.
Look who just popped on. That's the missus right there. So she's like, VETPAW equals Tinder. So
no. Nope. Do not tell that to the team on the ground. But yeah, it's I think one of my favorite things to do, and I unfortunately can't do it as much anymore as we grow, is when we bring on new veterans. I really enjoy, whenever I can, to be on that first trip and like literally the same flight, bringing them into Africa and showing them, this new world, and just seeing the expressions on their face, and it's anybody, not just veterans, but specifically these veterans, seeing that elephant or that rhino or, that lion, because lions are now endangered, giraffes are now threatened. You name it, leopards, pangolin, whatever it may be, just seeing the look on their face. It's I think one of my favorite ones was seeing Trevor the first time. He was just I can't get him out of Africa if I wanted to. Now, and he's been with us since
never leave.
2014. He's a team leader, and he's just been rocking and rolling. But yeah, seeing that look on their face, that because, as a veteran, we go to some of the worst places in the world. We also go to some of the best places. But, specifically when the height of the wars were going on, all you're doing is going to the worst places in the world, or responding to natural disasters like the tsunami, in Southeast Asia, or the earthquake in Haiti, earthquake in Japan, which caused the tsunami there, and then what you see when you go to these places, not speaking specifically about the natural disasters, that's just terrible and sad to see. But when you go to war, you just see how cruel humans can be, and it's the worst of humanity. And so I believe that the best thing in the world to see is wildlife in its, natural environment. And so going from that, these veterans going from war, natural disaster zones, to Africa, and now realizing like this exists, it's beautiful, it's incredible. And then realizing your brain moves to, I can't believe that I have to protect this animal. So then you start to take, I guess, encapsulate everything that's going on, and just realize like, I can't believe that I have to protect an animal like this, or teach rangers to protect an animal like this. Why would anybody want to kill such a beautiful thing? And, watching them mentally put that together is really special to me. And I'm just super proud of all the guys over there. So, and one quick note, I do want to do a plug reminder from Mark Goff, who's been with us forever as well. COVID shut down our ecotourism program, which directly contributes to our operations in Africa, equipment, fuel, things like that. And we're actually getting ready to restart it in June. We have some COVID protocols in place to keep people safe. But if you're interested in coming to Africa, it's a very affordable trip in comparison to others, hands-on. In my personal opinion, and in the opinions of pretty much everybody, I would say every single person that's experienced this program, it is the greatest trip in the world. I mean, we've had people come out that, traveling is their thing, and they've seen some amazing places. But the experience that you get spending time with the veterans around the fire, eating dinner with them, going out, it's a very small group, no more than 10 people, usually around 6 to 8 people. You live in our experience home, you become part of the family. You get to help if we're doing a tag of a rhino with veterinarians or any sort of procedure, we get you involved. You're actually doing work. You're not just watching, you're assisting. We get you out to help us with our research program, collecting data from camera traps and other things. If we have, a university out doing, hormone studies of rhinos or any sort of flora fauna study, you get to help out with that as well. So if you're interested, check us out at vetpaw.org. It's under the experience tab. We're going to be updating it with imagery from the new camp here soon as things get kickstarted. But yeah, let us know. We're going to try to do a trip each month. So please just fill out the application and we'll be in touch.
Well, and I'll go since Mark jumped on there, because I know I'd be remiss if I did not if I did not jump all over this stuff of other things that we have going on. So we also you guys can come and join us for we're having a virtual celebration event on the 22nd at I believe it's 4 p.m. Pacific time. If you go to riseforrhinos.fundraise.org. You'll be able to register for that. You can also check it out. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can see that live stream is pending as well. We're only going to be doing that on YouTube. So for all of you that are watching on Facebook, make sure you head over to our YouTube, because we're also going to we're in the process. We have mountains of trail cam videos and other footage that we're going to be populating in there here soon. So that's the place to go to check us out and spread the word about that. In fact, I don't know if you guys could see this hat, but if you like this hat, we have a hat giveaway that we're going to be doing. I
don't even have that.
Yeah. Well, I had to buy this one. So
I bought this.
So the thing though about this hat, you guys, is so we have a regular team kind of hat, but this hat is our campaign hat. And so the only way to get this hat is we give this to everybody who does a recurring donation of $22 a month. That's it's less than 75 cents a day, which is super helpful for us. But each year that you stay a recurring donor, you get a new campaign patch. So the patch is removable, and obviously the initial patch is the Operation Round the Rise patch. So we embarked last year. It had really been in the works for quite some time, but we had embarked last year on the Black Rhino expansion project, and there's a lot of other stakeholders involved in it. We got to have a very key role in it, of which we're very proud of. The guys on the ground did an immense amount of work to kick this thing off. So if you go in and sign up for that, this is our thank you to you. But if you go and check out our Instagram and our stories or whatever, and you'll see this post in there. If you repost this and tag VETPAW on it and use the hashtag as well, Rise for Rhinos, to push this out, we're going to be doing a drawing. I think it's for 5 people, Ryan. 5 hats. So
5 hats. But if we get enough people doing it, we'll have Zach bump that number up. Yeah,
Zach's our diligent merch guy. So. Again, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there to everybody. I know Mark would not be happy with me if if I did not, if I was remiss and failed to do that. So there you go, Mark. Now you don't have to beat me up later.
And a quick note too on the live stream event that we're doing. It is to raise funds in support of the guys on the ground, but also awareness. If you don't have money to give, it's not going to be, some type of telethon where we're sitting here, call this number to donate or anything like that. If you want to donate, great. But it's also just to give you more insight to what we're doing. We have an awesome photographer, videographer, media expert on the ground, and another one showing up. But Cammie's on the ground now. I've already seen some of the footage she's been capturing. It's incredible. They just did some video footage from a recent, it happened yesterday, of a veterinary procedure with a rhino. So we'll be putting that in there. You'll hear from our team I couldn't keep it a surprise. I had to tell him. He doesn't know what it is yet, but we are honoring Jason Flom, who's one of our board members. Jason has been just an integral part of VETPAW, and I don't think he quite realizes it because he's a very humble guy. But he's, I don't have a lot of heroes in the world, very few, but he's one of them. I can say that. Just the most caring person out there, and without him, we wouldn't be on the ground now. So we're going to be honoring him. We've got some celebrities doing shout outs. You'll see some of them listed on the registration page on our website. However, those are not all of them. We've got a bunch to update. And so we've got some surprises in there. And we're just going to give you some insight into VETPAW and what we do. And it should be a good time.
Well, and with that being said, because there's a whole bunch of different ways to participate and get involved. In fact, Laura Moses asked, "Are you guys still bringing on new vets?" She said, "I'm training as we speak," and which I'm glad to hear. So we actually get this question a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of bump it over to here. But if you go to the webpage and you check out the careers section, because there's other ways to get involved. Now I will throw a disclaimer out there. We're not taking on any new hires, just because we're still kind of recovering from this year. We did specifically make it a point. It was very important to Ryan. We did not want to, as hard as it was, we didn't want to have to let anybody go just because of it. Obviously there's funding lags. It was really hard. So we worked very diligently. Ryan worked his butt off. And made it happen. So of that, I'm very proud that we could say that, because we didn't really get much help when it came to, payment protection plan and all the other things that were supposedly there available for us. And I digress on that. But that being said, we are opening up for other opportunities for volunteers and interns. So the best thing you could do, because I get these emails all the time, go and make sure you read the careers page first. It gives you an outline of everything that's going to happen and that you need to do. And your first step before you email us, email recruiting, is to just read through that and put it in an application. I think
I highly advise anybody that applies to really take the written section seriously and put some thought into it, because it really lets us know a lot more about you and why it's important to you. We don't just take veterans because, they were, Ricky Recon or on SEAL Team 1 Million and, or Rambo. I want, it's not about what you've done. It's about what you can do. And it's about having a passion for this and a true understanding for what we do and an open mind to learning about, conservation is a lot more complex than just going out. I think the CEO of Wild Aid said it best. He's like, you can't just, he's great. Great organization that you should check out too. But he said, you can't just, what was it? Like patrol your way out of this with guns and this and that. And he's totally right. It's so much more. It's so much less about that. It's about educating the locals, empowering the locals. It's a One Health approach in that the lives of those who that live in close proximity to wildlife reserves are equally important to the wildlife itself. And that's how you get community buy-in. And so if you support them, the animals are going to benefit as well, and vice versa. So, it's like I said, just take that area seriously. One thing I did want, I see Jeffrey, Fifth Passport. Yeah, I feel you, man. Tony Sinclair, what's your direction on working to destroy game farms which belong to poachers who specialized in trafficking wild animals for the exotic pet trade? I haven't run into that. I know that it exists. I also know that there are some private game reserves here and there that put up a front that they are a safari company. In reality, it's, they're hunting elephants and rhinos, and, it's just disgusting. Hunting in the world that we live in now with antelope species and whatnot, different gestation periods when animals can't migrate, it's the same thing as hunting in, the national parks here. U.S. Fish and Game puts out permits. The government, scientists within the government dictate it. It's the same thing in Africa. But I will absolutely never, and I'm not a hunter. I'm not against hunting. It's not VETPAW's business. Speaking about hunting in general, what is VETPAW's business is if you're hunting elephants or rhinos, that's not good, or any endangered animal. That said, exposing and spreading awareness that's a real problem. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Tony, and maybe that's something we can discuss on the next call as well and dive more into. That's going to be the purpose of these types of calls.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is understanding too, because everything that, whether it's with that or other things that we talked about, that's why the ecotourism conservation education is important. There's been a big kind of void or gap between what is traditional kind of conservation, academia, research, and feelings towards security and rangers and law enforcement and vice versa. The thing that I've personally experienced, because I thought, I would have thought again that, hey, there was more of a relationship there. And in a lot of cases there is, but there's also a little bit of an animosity, so to speak. A lot of people are concerned about with the over militarization of whether it's law enforcement or, security, whether public or private. And the fact of the matter is that this dovetails into the careers part of this, the kind of individuals that we're looking for advanced critical thinkers. We're looking for people who understand in a regular asymmetrical environment and that their behavior and the way that they treat people can have huge second and third order effects to the surrounding communities, other reserves in the area, the law enforcement, and, even in the, with the criminal element that we encounter. And I think that's very important. To me, I find it rather disingenuous to say in one breath that you care about wildlife or all wildlife, yet at the same token, you don't really care for human beings. For us, that the empathy side of it and the humanity side of it, I don't agree with why somebody would poach or do some of the illicit activities or the criminal activities that they do. But that's not for me to. That's not my position. That's not my opinion. I'm not a part of that. That's a sovereign nation. That's for them to handle. The only thing I want to see happen is those rangers, those law enforcement in those communities be better equipped to handle that. And that's what due process is. That's how that should work. And even somebody who does something wrong, they still have rights, because then you start to cherry pick. And, we see examples of that all over the world. And in fact, we had a really good conversation not too long ago with a group that's working with USAID specifically with regard to human rights and human rights violations, both coming from rangers and law enforcement engaging with, indigenous communities. And we firmly believe, I know this was something that Ryan, you were very adamant about when I came on board, is that, it really does boil down to effective and efficient communication. So, we have to look at it from the standpoint, like not all people, we don't have a zero defect mentality, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So those are the type of individuals that we're looking for who understand that we're not looking for Johnny Rambo. That's just not how this environment works.
Yeah, I can't stress education enough. It's not just educating rangers, on new skills and improving their skills. They also educate us, because there's a lot of things. I mean, they're the natives. They teach us so much. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship there, but it's also educating locals so that they're aware of the benefit of wildlife. It's crazy how many Africans live close to wildlife that I've met that have never actually seen a rhino in person, and taking them to see it and understanding, because ecotourism is the way forward when it comes to conservation, and explaining to them, that it's still a pretty untapped market in Africa. And if we destroy these animals, meaning the human race, then that ecotourism potential is never going to be reached, because nobody's going to go to Africa to look at a field full of impala. I mean, they're a beautiful animal, but I mean, we can go look at deer here in the States. Point being is just that when they understand, like, hey, ecotourism provides jobs, economic stimulation for my community, then they start to really understand the importance of wildlife. And then in time, they begin to love it. And then it's also educating, people that have been caught poaching. We've done this before in saying, hey, I know that, and I've said this to somebody that we caught. I said, I know you're trying to provide for your two daughters to send them to boarding school or put food on the table. But in reality, if these animals aren't here and you kill them off with your poaching network, then there will be no tourism. And so there will not be jobs and opportunity to improve your community. And when I said that to him, bing, light bulb moment. He helped us go after the entire network. And then he ended up getting a lesser sentence by the judge because he helped us out, and he became a park ranger eventually. And that's so cool because, now that we vetted him and he went through things and he learned to love the animals, who better to show you how poachers work than somebody that used to do it themselves. And, it's not my place to judge. It's just not, there's only one thing in the world that can judge, and it ain't me. And so that's just kind of my take on it. But let's see.
You want me to address that question, or?
Yeah, go for it.
So Jason Staple writes, as a veteran and doctoral candidate in wildlife conservation, did M23 deserve rights when they invaded Goma extremists overall? ? I think so. Yeah. Here's just so I can clarify my comments, so there's no confusion. All I'm saying is that for us as a nonprofit organization that does not, we're not badged. We don't have some kind of oversight as far as by any government that we interact with when we, go into different countries. We are there as guests who are trying to help them find their way. That's how that works. So it's not really, we're not political in that regard. There's other organizations out there that go for that. And, that's been one thing I know Ryan and I have had significant conversations about. And I firmly agree with him, is that any organization that's out there that is working in conservation and the effect that it has on communities in total, we support that. We support that work. There's plenty of work out there for any organization to do. Yeah, and we're working in our small part. But when it comes to like how things work within a judicial system in any country, in any state, that's not within our purview. Our purview is to try to help those that are legitimate and that are endowed with that responsibility by their government. So that's kind of the point that I'm trying to say. Anybody can have whatever opinion they want to have on it. I'm not here to argue opinions with anybody, but I have to look at it like people are people. They're the same everywhere you go in the world. And the minute we start cherry picking who deserves what rights and who doesn't, we start going down a slippery slope. And I think it's problematic. So that would be my response to that.
I have a 11-year-old adopted Munchkin cat. She's the sweetest thing in the world. Has no teeth. We've had her for like 2 years. She's over here in her bed snoring louder than any human. So if you see me moving around, yeah, just to be clear, I'm the M23 thing. Yeah, I'm not talking about terrorist networks here and activities. That's complete scum of the earth. And no. So try not to take that what we say too deep. There are different. We're speaking generally. But what was the other thing there that I saw? Oh, I missed it. Well, you got anything else, Lynn, that you want to discuss?
No, I think we were off to a good start. We were trying to keep this to about between 30 and 45 minutes, because that's typically like our actual ops calls that we have with the team. We had one today.
I got one last thing. I just got a text. What are our biggest needs right now? Honestly, Lynn sits here and says that I'm busy and I've worked hard. It's not me that keeps, VETPAW alive. It's all those people that support us, the generosity. And I don't say generosity meaning only monetarily. I mean, spreading awareness and supporting us, getting involved on our social media, keeping up with it. The guys in Africa do this. They are the bread and butter. We can't do it without them. And so I thank them so much for it. But our biggest need now, yes, Jason, I just went over the One Health approach a few minutes ago. So I'm glad you brought that up. And we're going to dive into One Health here soon on another ops call. But I'm a huge fan of that, and we do that. We have women's co-ops in the villages, and it's been amazing. And last question I'll answer here: when will more of the veterans that were hired get the opportunity to replace the guys on the ground? Well, that's a good question, Brian. Are you ready to go? Because I'm ready to get you out to Africa. So shoot me a text or hit Lynn up. Annoy the hell out of them. Let's get you to Africa.
Yeah.
Brian's a candidate, and he was literally going to the airport. He might have even been in the airport when the lockdowns happened.
He was actually at the airport. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, dude, I can't thank you enough for your patience and understanding. You're the man. So another fellow Marine. So, our big needs right now are vehicles. I would say, we bought some great vehicles, Toyota Fortuners. They're a little smaller, not built for off-road, but they're cost-effective, great gas mileage. We outfitted them ourselves, and for a very low price. And they were a 3 to 5 year solution, and we are over that 5-year mark. So if anybody knows Toyota or Land Rover, please let them know that there are veterans in Africa working their butts off, and we got to get them some new vehicles so they can start, getting all throughout Africa and taking these mobile training units where they need to go, these remote places where rangers in need are just totally forgotten about. So that any type of equipment, and financially speaking, every dollar counts. But if somebody donates a penny, you're as important to us as somebody, we've never had this, but as somebody that would donate $1 million. And so it means the world to us. Can't thank you enough. But there are other ways that you can support. If you've got a skill, a trait that, we have our women's co-ops that I spoke about, come out and help us teach them some new trades and things like that. We've got some of the world's top knife makers coming out to teach the women how to make small, handheld bush knives that we can sell, and all the proceeds go back to jewelry design. You name it. If you got a skill, we can find a way to benefit both veterans and the wildlife that they protect. So shoot us an email at info@vetpaw.org. Do not forget about the live stream event. Please go on our website, register. It's going to be awesome. Great time. We're going to have a bunch of celebrities shouting out the guys on the ground. And again, we're honoring Jason Flom, which I'm really excited to do. And and again, if you're interested in coming to Africa, go on to our website, www.vetpaw.org. Hit the experience tab, fill out the application, and somebody will be in touch with some dates. And we'll get you out to Africa. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. We're going to do these, I don't know, maybe once or twice a month, maybe more, depending on the demand.
I think we're going to start with once a month, and then we'll start opening it. I think for next time Ryan and I still have to figure some things out, but we're definitely going to try to probably bring somebody else in. Hopefully somebody from on the ground in Africa. It depends on the op tempo, but I know those guys are chomping at the bit to start talking to you guys and engage, as well as there was a lot of really good questions. Yeah. Celebrities
that support us. Also subject matter experts like biologists, ecologists, veterinarians. It's the point of this is to educate people on VETPAW and what we do, and also conservation as a whole and Veterans Affairs. So we'll be bringing on some other partnered organizations and things like that. So this has been fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. So thank you everybody else for joining us. Keep on the lookout. And again, reminder, hey, go to our YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notifications. Share it. Definitely help us feed the algorithm. Leave comments below. And hey, thumbs up is great. Thumbs down, that works too. Just give us if you're going to critique us, give us a good productive critique. So, hey, I'm just
no comments on our
you're
faces.
just talking to two yeah, we're just two Marine infantrymen who are trying to figure out tech stuff. So, like, man, that's a dangerous combination right there. But no,
and Jason Staples, shoot me an email at ryan@vetpaw.org. I'd love to answer some more questions that you have, and maybe we can bring them up on the future ops calls and stuff. That was a great question, both of them. So I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Cool.
So with that being said, thank you guys. And until next time, be safe, take care of each other, be kind to each other, as Ellen says. And we look forward to chatting with you guys again. Well, bye.
Take care.